You have to understand the strategy of these devils. Let's start off by saying Barakatah Yahweh. You have to Bahashem Yahweh Shai Bahashem Rachakudash. Welcome to the live lesson. The name of this one is both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep. And pretty much I was listening to actually I was listening to a video that the elder Barakallah from the LA camp was doing earlier, and he featured a segment of the Linda Thompson America Under Siege video, which we've gone over plenty of times, beginning with the elder apostles, and other brothers. And pretty much I listened to the video, then I went and I listened to Linda Thompson's video. I listened to a good portion of it. But then, my thoughts shifted, and this individual, Bill Still, came to mind, and he did a 3-hour, and I believe it's 26-minute and some change video called The Money Masters. And he goes into the whole history of the money exchangers and, how the Rothschilds got their wealth, and how they set up a red shield in front of their home. And the red shield had a Roman eagle on it, which I thought that was interesting. I mean, I know I heard it before, but it's just, it just hit a little different this time because, they were always attached to that symbol of the eagle. And I listened to I was listening to that video for a while. I believe I listened to about 1 hour and 40 minutes of it, just so, in and out, just zoning in and out. And this guy, Michael Rivero, also did a video years ago called All Wars Are Bankers' Wars. And Bill Still and also Michael Rivero, both, explain certain points. You could, if you want to watch those videos, you can. And they explain how pretty much the wars that were set up was pretty much set up by these bankers. And they have a mission, because the way that they accumulated their wealth was not by right. That's why the Lord said he will, spew shameful spewing on their glory. And one thing they do understand the money system. This is why Maya Angelou said, "Give me control of the nation's money, and I care not who makes the laws." Why? Because he that controls the money controls the laws. And the way we know that throughout history, and especially today, is look at the direction that the legislation is going in Congress in America and other parts, but since we're in America dealing with the American Congress and Senate and the legislative body, everything is gearing more so towards big business. All right, so they cornered the market on that, and pretty much what they're doing is they're making a world of debt slaves. All right, because they understand that debt equals slavery. And that's why they created the Federal Reserve System, the FRNs, which are the Federal Reserve Notes, which are better known as dollars or dead presidents. And pretty much what that did was it created money out of thin air, pennies on the dollar, and put it out in circulation as the currency. And pretty much, put interest rates on it, which would actually cause the person that uses the money to be in debt Okay, because if you understand what the word currency means, it's like a current. Current in water, it dictates the direction of the water. So money or currency, directs the economy of the system. So Genesis 23:16, it says, "And Abraham hearkened unto Ephron, and Abraham weighed to Ephron the silver which he had named in the audience of the sons of Heth, for this particular, I believe it was a cave or something like that, to bury his wife. It says 400 shekels of silver, current money with the merchant." So at this time, which silver and gold have always been tender or currency for debts, but you also had many different, you know, things that were used for currency. King George, I forget which King George it was. He had something called the tally sticks, which he had these, planks of wood or pieces of wood, and they would cut the same piece, will cut it and make notches in it, and the two pieces would match each other. And the way you knew if somebody, owned that money was if it matched the part of the tally stick that the king had. And that was the currency of the time. So you could have cattle, land, slaves, silver, gold, you know, whatever grains or anything that you had, that was all part of it. So this is current money. And the currency is what directs the economy. Now, I just want to look up this word current real quick. And I got just a couple of quotes because he had quoted some things from Sir Thomas Aquinas and Aristotle, because it's a long video. I've heard it before, but it's like, you don't pick up on everything because there's so much information. Current, which is current, and then money, which is the word ibar, to pass over. So it has, the word ibar has several meanings to it. The word ibar is Hebrew, where you get the word Hebrew from, the name Eber, from the past. It also means to pass over, like crossing over a stream or a river. And it also means current. All right. I'm trying to see if we could find the part here because it says current money. Grass, pass over, flow, go beyond, traverse parts of the victim's covenant. So that was the currency of the time, which it still is, because Abraham was rich in gold and silver and cattle. That's all part of riches. Land. So that was the current money. Okay, so what these devils have done was when they finally got, because there were 3 central banks in America. The first 2 had a charter of 20 years. They were both, not allowed to renew their charter after the 20 years because they came to find out that that central bank was pretty much devaluing the currency and causing people's lives, misery and debt. So then when they got the third one in place, they pretty much named it Federal Reserve System, so it could seem like it was an actual, governmental agency. And that's how they got it passed. They took out certain provisions that was in the original bill, and then eventually they put all that stuff back in after it got passed. All right, and then what that did was it caused people to have to pay usury, which is interest, and they just had the power to continually print money without having the actual assets in place, and that's what devalued the currency. So there's more dollar bills in circulation than they have assets for it to back it up. All right. So I just wanted to just read a couple of these quotes. This is from Aristotle. It says, money was established for exchange, right? Because that's how you did business. It says, but interest causes it to be reproduced by itself. Why? Because it keeps compounding. So you have $10 that is not backed by anything. Eventually, that $10 is going to end up costing you $100, so on and so forth. And that goes directly with the scripture that you brothers already know in the book of Proverbs, chapter 22 and verse 7. It says, the rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. So the one that borrows is the one that's servant to the lender. Remember, when you go back to the curse, or the curses in Deuteronomy 28, that was one of the things that we were cursed with, having to borrow from the enemy being Esau and the other nations. Deuteronomy 28:43, the stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high. It's talking about the heathens. And thou shalt come down very low. He shall what? Lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. So when they started to lend to us, we started to become more and more in decay, because the money that they were giving us, especially with Esau, it wasn't backed by anything. So the more of it that you borrowed, the more in debt you became. So you were never able to come out of that debt, because you were always chasing a debt. A debt cannot pay a debt, because eventually they're gonna call in the debts. And that's why, when which is still going, the U.S. debt clock was set up and established. It was set up to show everyone how much money they owed, and they're not worried about collecting it, because they know eventually, when the collapse comes, they're going to be able to manipulate the direction of the economy in the future. And that would put everyone into captivity, because just like prior to 1944, the world was on the British pound, as the world reserve currency. When it came time, when the Bretton Woods Agreement was made, and the federal note or the dollar bill became the world reserve currency, everyone had to trade in that. So you had to put your assets into these paper dollars in order to transact and do business worldwide. You see? And now what's happening is, since the dollar's devalued so much, they want to shift it over into the digital currency system. Now, the brother Yashalom sent me, I believe it was him, sent me a meme, or one of the brothers. Okay, yeah, it was him. It says, Trump taps Paul Atkins for next secretary chair or security chair. I'm not sure if it's because it just says secretary chair, making good on his crypto promises. Because at one point, Trump said he wasn't with, the digital, the CBDC and all that stuff, but now he's with it. You see, because everyone is, you have a lot of people that are going in that direction. So now he, tapped an individual that is into that, so he's trying to get him to come on board in his cabinet. It says President-elect Donald Trump has selected the pro-crypto Paul Atkins to chair the Securities and Exchange Commission, right? So it's security chair. So the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC. Okay, so SEC stands for Security Exchange Commission. All right. It says, according to 3 sources familiar with the discussions, one source specified that Trump has reached out to Atkins, but is waiting on him to accept. By selecting Atkins, Trump is delivering on a promise he made to the crypto community during his campaign. So everything pretty much is going in the direction of something digital. Why? Because that's going to be the wave of the future, or the currency of the future, because it's going to usher in the MOTB system. And that's what these devils are doing. So he shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. So let's look up this word lend. The word there is lawah. right? Lawa, which implies that you have, you know, a surplus to be able to live comfortably and still have enough to be able to lend to others. It says to join, be joined, right? Like the word loya, join to me or join to Yahweh. All right. To join, be joined. So how is one joined? By when you borrow something, now you're in debt to that person. So you're joined to them how? By that debt. And eventually, if you can't pay that debt, you end up eventually, if you don't have anything to pay it off, you end up becoming the slave. And you know what happens with a slave when he is a uh lifelong slave. You know, back in the ancient world, you would take him before the judges. He would, you know, say his vows, you know, that he acknowledges this master to be his master for life. Then he would take the awl and drive it through his ear, and that would represent that he belonged to this particular master for life. And that's what the MOTB or the micro CHIP is all about. It's a identification of ownership. All right. It's going to be the new badge for the future. All right. So it says to borrow, lend. Okay. So it says, he shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. Right. Because the rich ruleth over the poor, as we read in the book of Proverbs, chapter 22 and 7. The rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. So let's see what the word borrower is. The same thing, loa, to be joined. Servant to who? The lender. The lender is Ayash, which is man. Man, lender, you know, the one who lends. Ayash is man. But let's see if they have something different here. Nah, has man. And then joined to who? To the man. Who is, so in this case, who is the man? Esau, because they're the ones that hold sway of the current money system. See, to be joined, be joined to man. How? By the form of debt. Here it says, for this shall cleave to him. All right. It says, shall remain with him in his labor. See? So pretty much joined to these devils by way of debt. All right. Because you have something called debt slavery. Let's see if we can pull that up. So these devils know. That's why it says that the heart is deep. So everything that they do, you think that it's more so for the sake of, you know, helping the people, making their life easier, more convenient, but really it's to help themselves. Remember, it said that they can never have enough, but heapeth unto them all people. All right. It says debt slavery, a state of indebtedness to landowners that limits the autonomy of producers, tenant farmers, and provides the owners of capital with cheap labor. And that's pretty much what it's all about. And then you have debt bondage. Debt bondage, also known as debt slavery, bonded labor, or peonage, is the pledge of a person's service as security for the repayment for a debt or other obligation. And that's what the scriptures speak about, not to become surety to anything. Let's type in the word surety. And it comes up in different forms, but let me put this in here. Right. Check this out. This is Sirach or Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha. Be not surety above thy power. So surety is what? Collateral. Be not collateral. So in other words, you're making a vow, that you're going to pay so and so and such. So now you gave your word. So now you're indebted to this person until you pay it off. So it says, be not surety above thy power, for if thou be surety, take care to pay it. All right. Let's see if there's any more here. All right. That's the main point. So let's go back. We looked up the word surety, and I'm just going to go straight to the point. Right. Proverbs 11:15. He that is surety for a stranger shall smart for it. Right. Because now you're on the hook. And the word smart means to hurt for it. And he that hateth suretyship is sure. Right. Because you rather just pay your debt instead of trying to vow to pay something that like they say, write a check with your mouth that your ass can't cash. Right. A man void of understanding striketh hands and becometh surety in the presence of his friends. Right. All right. So let's go. Let me see. He that is surety for a stranger. Let's go here real quick. I want to look up surety. I rob, which means in the midst, and between. And it could be pledge, because now the pledge, as we read before, joined to the man. Now you're in between. This man, you're in his debt, so you can't be alleviated from that until you pay that debt. To pledge, exchange, mortgage, engage. So you get the idea. Pledge. Let's look up the word pledge in the Common Dictionary. Pledge: a bailment of chattel as security, which is what? Collateral, for a debt or other obligation without involving transfer of title. The state of being held as a security or as a collateral or guarantee, something given as security for the performance of an act. See? And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the word pledge is also found and goes along the same lines. Right. This is Proverbs 20:16. Take his garment that is surety for a stranger, and take a pledge of him for a strange woman. So a pledge is like the same thing. It's an oath given as collateral to pay something. All right. And then here it says take his garment, because garments were valuable back then, And if a man had nothing else to pay, they would take and strip him of his garment. And that's what the scriptures say. You couldn't keep a man's garment in the law all night, because that was his covering from the cold. At least he, cry out to the Lord and the Lord hear him. I always reference the movie Knight's Tale. The great orator, he was a bad orator, man, but he just was a bad gambler. And every time he would gamble, he would lose. To the point where when they first saw him, in the first time they saw him, he was walking butt naked because somebody took his garment, because he was, he was a degenerate gambler. So pretty much that's what you do when you're dealing with this in this man's system. It's a gambling system. But the thing about it is we can't do anything about it, because that is a part of the curse that the Lord said would fall upon us. Just bear with me 1 second. Go back. Okay, so let's go back. Let's see. Was it on this? Yep. So Deuteronomy 28:48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Shai shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. So anything that we want, we're going to be on the hook under this devil. These are curses we can't get out of until the Lord comes back to deliver us. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. And this is more proof of who the Israelites are. It's getting harder and harder to find now. But as Elder Pastor proved before, you would type in yoke of iron. You wouldn't put yoke of iron of slavery or yoke of iron upon the so-called black, nothing. You just put yoke of iron and you would see yokes of iron on Jake during the time of slavery. And there was this post on Instagram that somebody sent where it spoke about the origins of Jingle Bells. You know, when people sing those Christmas carols, Jingle Bells, they'll say that that's, you know, festive time. But really what the Jingle Bells went back to was the slaves that had those yoke of irons on their neck. They would have bells on them so that when they try to escape, they could hear and find them easily. That's what that Jingle Bells goes back to. You know, so every time you sing in that song, you know, in rejoicing in that pagan holiday, you're pretty much, you know, rejoicing in the fact that they had Jake in slavery. All right, so let's see what else we got. So let's read this again. Money was established for exchange, right? Because another scripture. Oh, let me get this one. Another scripture is in Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and verse 12. For wisdom as a defense and money as a defense. See, so money is supposed to be used as a defense or a hedge. But the excellency of knowledge is that wisdom giveth life to them that have it. All right. So ultimately above all is wisdom, the defense. You know, Yahweh Bashem Shai's defense. But money is also a defense because it's a hedge for things that you may need. All right. And there's another one, but I'll get that in a minute. So money was established for exchange, but interest causes it to be reproduced by itself. Why? Because it becomes exponential, meaning it grows quickly because there's nothing there to stabilize it. You know, so the more money you print, the more dollars you need to buy the same thing that might have cost you half that or a quarter of that or 3/4 of that maybe a couple of years ago. It says, therefore, this way of earning money is greatly in conflict with the natural law. And what does the natural law say? When you go back to Leviticus 19 and 35, it says, ye shall do no unrighteousness in judgment, in meat yard, that's measurement, in weight, or in measure. Yeah, because that's how it was done in the past. You had different weights and measures, and that's how you would conduct business. Right? So let's go back. It says, therefore, this way of earning money is greatly in conflict with natural law. Now, there's another quote. Yes, the truth is that men's ambition and their desire to make money are among the most frequent causes of deliberate acts of injustice. And that's why it says in Ecclesiasticus 27:2, as a nail sticketh fast between the joining of the stones, so the sins stick close between buying and selling. Why? Because every time you have an individual that's selling something, he's always going to try to get over on the individual that's buying, because he has the power and control over the weights and measures and how to establish all of that and to tweak it in his benefit, because he's not going to tweak the weights and measures to benefit the person that's buying. He's going to benefit himself, you know, and that's why, you know, there's a conflict when it comes to, you know, buying and selling and sin being there. This has nothing to do with Revelation 13. This is why Yahweh Shai lost it on them devils, you know, them Israelites in at the temple of the Lord that were charging, you know, interest or usury on the half shekel of the temple. You know, when you go back into the history, that was the only coin that could be used that was made out of pure silver, and it didn't have any subscriptions of any Romans or anything like that. You know, it was just strictly for the service of the temple, and that's the only thing you could pay. So they cornered the market on that. So they would charge whatever they wanted to charge, and they were making money off of that. So that was like one of the things that during the time of the Middle Ages, you know, and beyond, you know, was used as a way to manipulate the money system. All right, especially when people would bring their gold and silver to you, and you would issue out paper notes to them then you would print more so you can make money. All right. So let's go back and read that one more time. It says, yes, the truth is that men's ambition and their desire to make money are among the most frequent causes of deliberate acts of injustice. And that's why the Lord said that you devils got to pay. Let's go real quick to James chapter 5 and verse 1. It says, go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl. When you weeping and howling, that means you're in a world of pain. And they're going to be in a world of pain because you have to understand you have everything. You live, lavish, even though they live somewhat modest, but they have a lack for nothing. They have everything that they want. They have more than hearts could wish. And to have all of that and then lose it overnight, that's going to be a shock to them because they never thought that they will lose everything. So it says, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. All right. So we read that already. And Lord, we'll probably get a couple more verses in James 5. But this was something, I was trying to find another quote that Sir Thomas Aquinas made because Bill Still lumped both the Aristotle and Thomas Aquinas quotes together, I believe. And I really couldn't find what Thomas Aquinas had said, but pretty much Bill Still was saying that Thomas Aquinas said that money was created to service or to serve man or the public, but pretty much what did they do? They brought about unlawful money pretty much, and that pretty much put the people in debt rather than helping them, make their life easier and be in purchases, everyday purchases. But this is just, I like this quote. It says, when the devil is called the God of this world, which Esau is, it is not because he made it, but because we serve him with our worldliness. And pretty much this is what happened when Jake fell and Esau came into power and deceived the whole world. The world believed that Esau is the Most High. So the power that they have and the deception that they have is the energy or the power that they have because they have the world deceived. That's why I said, if our gospel be hid, it is hid to them that are lost. And I just kind of like, what he said here, and this doesn't apply to everyone, although at one point everyone was deceived by this devil, until the Lord woke us up. You see? So when the devil is called the God of this world, which you have what? The picture of Caesar Borgia, the picture of the Most High being a so-called white man, the Sistine Chapel, so on and so forth, the finger of God and Adam and all that. So the world is believing that is the Most High. So they're calling the devil the Most High. It says it is not because he made it, but when I read this, made it, meaning that he made it, because really the whole situation of Esau being worshipped as the Most High, they created that by something called iconoclasm, and taking all the dark images all throughout Europe, so-called Europe and Asia, and painting over all those images as being white, destroying a lot of them. And the elder Yahukanan, did a couple of videos on that, which he mentioned about Dura Europa, which we've been doing lessons on that for years. They have these reliefs, wall reliefs down there, where it shows Moses and Aaron, the Egyptians and the Israelites, being all brown-skinned people. So that was a great deception that covered the world, but now the Lord is using us to reveal them and putting all of that back. So there's like all types of tons of information coming out on the daily, and this is why they want to stop this, because this is a threat to them now. The truth that's coming out is a threat to them. You have all different types of threats to America, the infrastructure and all that, but the main thing that they feel is a threat is the truth of the Hebrew Israelites waking up and exposing them for the frauds that they are. So let's go real quick to here to Psalm 64. And I'll start at verse 5. It says, they encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune of laying snares privately. Snares are traps. Privately is in private. And that is, set up through this legislation and the whole system that they got going up, around the world. That's going to have people trapped because you're going to be everyone's going to be faced with the situation of either accept this new currency or starve, be homeless, or be whatever the case may be. It says they say, who shall see them? Because they think that the Lord don't see them. And even beyond that, they think that if there is a God, right, in their mind, he got to look like them and he's with them because, they're prospering. And why are they prospering? Because it is the time of the world. It is their time to prosper. They search out iniquities, which are sin on top of sin on top of sin. They accomplish a diligent search because they leave no stone unturned. It says both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep, meaning their mind. The inward thought, their mind, what they really, want to bring out to the public, right? Or what they really, their plans, they don't really give you or tell you what the plans are, even though they do mention it in certain movies and things of that nature. But the true plans are always hidden with a fake cover story. And that fake cover story is, for the benefit of the people, so on and so forth. But eventually they want the whole world microceived. Let's see, Aquinas, Summa Theologica. It says, the bread which you withhold belongs to the hungry. Beautiful. The clothing you shut away to the naked. And the money you bury in the earth is the redemption and freedom of the penniless. Yeah, because there's a scripture where it says, he that gathereth, let me see. Let me try. It might be Proverbs 28. Let me try Proverbs 28. And 8. Let's see what that says. This is a good one. Proverbs 28:8. He that by usury and unjust gain increaseth the substance, he shall gather it from him that will pity the poor. Right. So pretty much all of the wealth that you're gathering is pretty much going to be transferred to us. That's why it says that we're going to boast in the nation's riches, especially beginning with Esau. There's another one. I think there might be Ecclesiastes 5 or 8. I believe it's the 8th chapter. Here we go. Ecclesiastes 5:13. There is a sore evil which I have seen under the sun, namely riches kept for the owners thereof to their hurt. Why? Because those riches are going to be transferred. That's in Apocrypha, Ecclesiastes 10. In Ecclesiastes 8. And 9. All this have I seen and applied my heart unto every work that is done under the sun. There is a time wherein one man ruleth over another to his own hurt. See, so all of this wealth accumulation that you're gathering is just going to be transferred over to us. Matter of fact, let's get it here. Ecclesiasticus 10:8. Because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, which is what they got, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. The kingdom is going to be translated, the wealth is going to be translated, and the slaves are going to be translated. Because you're going to go from us being the slaves to Esau and the other nations being the slaves. All right. Let's go back to James 5:1. Go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Right. Because Like the scriptures say, they have more than heart could wish. So if they have more than heart can wish, when they lose everything, they're going to really lose it. Because as the parable says, they don't know how to work. They don't know how to dig. They don't know what it is to put in a hard day's work and labor by the sweat of your brow. You know, you working so hard that, like the scriptures say, sleep is sweet to a laboring man. You know, you be so damn tired when you hit that pillow, you out. They don't know anything about that. The only thing they know is about ripping people off, and they sleep like babies. You know? Proverbs 13:11. Wealth gotten by vanity shall be diminished, beautiful. But he that gathereth by labor shall increase, beautiful. Proverbs 21:13. Whoso stoppeth his ear at the cry of the poor, he also shall cry himself, but shall not be heard. That's a good one. That's a good one, bro. I know you're going to do a lesson on that. Ecclesiastes 2:26, for the Most High giveth to a man that is good in his sight wisdom and knowledge and joy. But to the sinner, Esau, the other nations, and even Jacob that are not right with the Lord, he giveth travail to gather and to heap up, that he may give to him that is good before the Most High. Wow, that's pretty much it. That's another transfer scripture. So it says, but to the sinner he giveth travail to gather and to heap up, that he may give to him that is good before the Most High. This is also vanity, vexation, and spirit, right? Because they're gathering by wickedness, but they're going to have to transfer it back to Jake. Let me see. Check out something here. Okay, I missed the letter. It says, Jeremiah 17:11, as the partridge sitteth on eggs and hatcheth them not, so he that getteth riches and not by right, that's Esau, shall leave them in the midst of his days, and at his end shall be a fool, right? Because there's going to be a great wealth transfer. All right? It's going to be a great wealth transfer. So now you see why it says, James 5:1, go to now, you rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Your riches are corrupted and your garments are moth-eaten. Your gold and silver is cankered. So the wealth that you have is cankered, is tarnished, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you. Right? That's why I said that there shall be shameful spewing on your glory, because the way you got this is going to be a witness against you, and that's part of the charges that are being brought up against you. It says, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire, because your whole dreams are going to go up in smoke. You have heaped treasure together for the last days, right? Because you wanted to set up your nest on high, but what you didn't understand in doing that, you sinned against your soul, because your soul is not upright in you, man. Habakkuk 2:9, woe to him that coveteth an evil covetousness to his house, that he may set his nest on high, right? So he can be protected. That's why even John Todd, when he did that speech years ago, back in the late 70s, early 80s, he pretty much said that they want to be so wealthy that and they want to collapse the economies of the world, but be so financially stable that they'll be able to withstand these losses, just to bring the world to its knees, so to speak. It says that he may be delivered from the power of evil. Thou hast consulted shame to that house by cutting off many people, and have sinned against thy soul. And that's why it says that there's going to be shameful spewing on your glory. So back to James 5:4, behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which are what? The people, the workers, that are the ones that are keeping this economy going, so to speak, and they're the ones that's suffering the most. The ones that's making you the most money are the ones suffering the most, which is of you kept back by fraud, right? Because the system that you set up and the monetary unit you're using is fraudulent. It's not real money. That's why it's called fiat funny money. So let it be. So they said that this dollar is money, and the people believe it. That's why it's known as a credit. Credit is belief. So the people use the dollars because it's a method of currency that's current in America and the world. It says, crieth. So they're crying, and the cries of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth, which is the Lord of the armies. You have lived in pleasure on the earth and been wanting. Right, that's you. You got your Isaiah 47, you got your Revelation 18. No, you have nourished your hearts as in a day of slaughter. You haven't had one for anything, going all the way back to the 13, 14, 1500s. It says you have condemned and killed the just, and he does not resist you. Why? Because we don't have any power to resist. That's why our hope stands in Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. And that's why the Lord said that when all this hell breaks loose, he's going to set up something to where we'll be protected. And it said, my servants shall eat, my servants shall drink, my servants shall sing for joy of heart. But the ones that don't get involved and do the right thing, they're going to weep and howl and be hungry, and all kind of, shit's going to go down during the time of Jacob's trouble. So with that, I pray that you brothers and few sisters have been edified. Till the next time I say, Shalom.